So if you've played Raft before, you know one of the hardest things to do when you start a new game is to build a raft that does everything it needs to without costing too many materials. This is what I think is the perfect starter raft, and I'm going to show you how to build it. Now, if you're new to the channel, I'm Franks and I play survival craft games. If you like this kind of content, please do leave a like and hit subscribe beneath the video. And without taking up too much more of your time, let's get into the video. Now, the first thing you're going to need to do when you jump into a new world is extend your foundation. I'm going to use the solid foundation here. Obviously, if you're just starting a new world, you're probably going to want to use just the original foundation because it uses up less materials. But I'm in creative right now, and for the purpose of aesthetics, I'm just going to stick with the solid foundation, which I think looks a little bit better. The next thing we can start to do is build the main base at the back. So this is going to be where your bed is and all your storage chests. So we're going to go two at the corner, and then this one's going to be poking out like this. Next thing, we'll grab the solid half wood wall, put one here, and we also need to put one just in the middle here. Play around with the lock points until we have this. The next thing we're going to do is grab the solid wooden fence and just basically take around the perimeter of our raft here. We're going to leave this spot open, sort of on the opposite side, because that's going to be our entrance point. But apart from that, we want to go around the whole perimeter. When you're done, you'll be left with something like this. We can put in some supporting pillars for the upper base. So I'm going to choose these 2 points here. I'm going to put one here as well, but obviously if you don't have the mats, you don't need to put this one in here at all. And just for completeness, I'm going to put one on the back end there as well. The next thing we're going to need to do is change up to our triangular wooden floor. And if you guys don't already know this trick, it basically allows you to build out floors and then remove the foundations underneath without losing the floor above. Now, even though this floor is going to be supported underneath, it just makes sense for if you make changes later on, you're not going to lose any of the equipment above it, because it's just not going to dismantle as you take away these pillars underneath. So that's looking good to me, and we're going to just take the half pillars here and put one here and one here, because this is going to be our entrance point for coming up. And then we just need to follow the outskirts, and when it's done, it's going to look like this. So I think this is looking good for now. The only thing I'm going to do is add in some detail pillars. So we'll grab this one's here at the entrance, and then we're going to need to put them on the outer sides as well. The reason for this is we're going to grab the triangle wooden floor and just put in a couple of platforms for our antenna. Now, obviously, with this being a really small base, there's not really places to put the antenna as you require them, so we need to build them out on here and here. But honestly, it keeps them out of the way, and I think it just looks a lot better like that anyway. So it's kind of a win-win. I'm going to grab the solid ladder here. The next thing I'm going to do with regards to filling this raft in is just grabbing a couple of lanterns. Now, if you don't have the lantern straight away, don't worry about it. It's really just so I can sort of see what I'm doing as I'm building this. It's something you can just kind of work on as you unlock the materials. It's nothing too necessary in terms of how the raft's going to function. So we've got these two lanterns hanging up here, got a lot of space around the back there, and we're going to start to focus now on getting ourselves some food and water. Now, as I go through this build, I'm going to be choosing some of the more advanced things, such as the advanced purifier rather than the simple purifier. If you haven't unlocked those yet, where I'm placing all of these items, you can place the other one and it will work perfectly fine, and then you can replace them out for this stuff once you've unlocked them. But even though this is like the advanced grill, for example, I think that these are still kind of things which are early on in the game. And what you can do with this one, for example, is you should just be able to look over the back there and just fill it up. So that works really well. The next thing we're going to focus on is a few of these small crop plots. Now, these are a really good way early in the game to have a sort of sustainable food source. So I like to make most of these and plant things like beetroots or potatoes. And I'm going to go for a sort of asymmetric design here with two on this side and one on this side. That's looking really good. The next thing we can do is add in a few smelters. Now, I like to have two going, but again, if you don't have the materials, stick with one and then you can fill it in at a later date. But I think 2 is a good number for the kind of materials that you actually end up needing as you progress through the game. 2 or 3 is really all I think you need. Next thing we have is storage. Now, if you don't have the normal storage boxes, which I definitely recommend you try and get as soon as possible, you're going to want to stick with the small storage, and then you could upgrade to this normal storage. But we're going to just put them under here and hang them, make sure they're hanging on the wall like this, and then one just above that. Try and make sure they're not taking up too much space on the bottom, so they're kind of running flush, and then you should be able to fit 4 in here, no problem. And when you're done, it's going to look like this. Next thing we're going to do is either grab your simple bed, or if you've unlocked it, this proper bed here. and place it in this upper section here. Now you might be a little bit concerned with the placement of this bed because it looks like you wouldn't be able to enter it, but actually what happens is when you lie down and stand up, you end up on the top floor. So you wake up every morning on the top floor, you can direct where you're going and then come back down obviously if you need to. The next thing we're going to need to focus on is the receiver. The receiver is going to go in this upper right hand corner. Try and squeeze it in as close as you can in there, and then we'll grab the research table and place that just on this side. Once these are done, we're going to need to grab 3 antenna. And if you're OCD like me, you'll want to do this in a specific order. You'll want to put your first one on this side here. Your second one is going to go over on this one, and your third one can go just in this corner here. These do look very close to one another, but you'll find that when you build a battery, you'll see that actually there's definitely enough space between them. Once you're done with that, we're going to take out our hammer again and actually put in a couple of these triangle wooden floors here and here. And what we're going to put here is the sail, because obviously there is enough room just to put your sail like straight in the middle here, but it just takes up a lot of room, and as you'll know from playing, when the sail's down it does just kind of just get in the way, or it looks at least like it gets in the way. Now that we've got the sail, we're going to want to get a streamer. Talking of streamers, if you want to watch me live, you can follow me at twitch.tv/Finks. Maybe I want to put the streamer on that corner there. So we'll take out the lantern and we will place the lantern just here by the entrance. So that's pretty much all you need up here. Like I said, this is a starter build, so I'm not going to expect anyone to have all of these decorations, but one that I would recommend that I think makes a big difference is this circular rug and this rectangular rug. So I'm going to make one of them and 2 of these. And I think that out of all the decorations, this is the ones that I like the most. I'm going to place one up top, one sort of here, and then just at the entrance here, I will place another one like that. So that's looking really good already. Obviously, in the final build that I've shown, I have a lot of plants around here. Now, you will unlock these gradually, but just to sort of give a final idea of what it's going to look like, I'm going to place a few of these around the outside. So already that's the bottom section done, and that is the top section done. Obviously there's still a lot of room, so you can kind of add to this as and when you need to. The only thing I would say that it's missing is some sort of deterrent for Bruce. Now I would definitely recommend foundation armor when it becomes available and going around the outside like this. If you don't have that unlocked yet, or you don't have the materials for it, then what I would recommend is simply just either taking one of these normal foundations or taking the triangle foundations, because they take up less mats, and just going around the outside. Now every time they get broke, you can just replace them so that Bruce can't damage anything on your boat. For this example, I've obviously reinforced my foundations around the perimeter of the lower floor, so we don't need to worry about that anymore. The only thing I think that this build is missing would be collection nets. I don't particularly like collection nets on this build, but if I was to add them in, I would simply extend this section here, go out maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, and take out this one. And then what I would do is make up the collection nets, and then with the collection nets you could simply just go around, place these 5 in. I would place 5 on this side as well, and then once you get the materials, what you can do is reinforce these ones so that you no longer need any on the outside, and then I would just remove these. If you want to keep the raft looking simple, I would just simply remove these and just reinforce all these instead. Obviously it does take up quite a few mats, but when you reinforce these they never go bad, so it's definitely worth the investment. And that's it. This is how it looks in the end. Like I said, if you like this build, if you like this kind of content, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave the video a like if you liked it, and yeah, if you decide to build this or build it and put in a couple of adaptations, please do let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next one.